Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work out to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with a family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
He is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David's rant of the week is, what if a conspiracy theory isn't actually theory, with David and Gretchen talking about Second Amendment issues. Then, are Chicago police doing all they can to remove guns from those posing a threat? Next, find out what statistics the CDC has been hiding. After that, find out what you need to know about the new threat on the radar, the Southern Poverty Law Center. And finally, if you thought California was screwed up enough already, wait until you hear about their new proposed bill. All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584. Or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
One of the few things that it would appear both sides of the gun control argument can agree upon is guns do not belong in the hands of the mentally incompetent. Different states reflect different opinions and methodology with respect to the issue. The remarkable thing about the left is they never do anything that might potentially distract from the narrative that we need more gun control and, well, let's be honest, a total gun ban. The Chicago Police Department is a case in point. CPD has a mechanism in place to deal with individuals that are deemed to be mentally unfit to carry a gun. In a city where the mayor and city fathers would love to be able to ban all guns for the children, the facts don't support the for the children hypothesis. CPD had consistently failed to use the system to prevent mentally unfit individuals from legally acquiring and carrying a gun. The recent revelation is all the more egregious considering CPD is in a 24/7 all-out attack mode pushing for tougher gun laws. In response to a January 2017 complaint, Chicago's Inspector General Joseph Ferguson reviewed CPD's program and made a startling discovery. CPD routinely returned firearms to individuals who had threatened suicide, which, even by liberal standards, ought to be a clear and present danger. According to the State of Illinois' Firearm Owner Identification Card Act, CPD is required to notify Illinois State Police within 24 hours of determining a person poses a clear and present danger. To suggest the discovery was merely startling would be an understatement. Of the 37 incidents that occurred over a 3.5-year period, CPD filed only once. That single incident occurred when Chicago police confiscated a gun from a person immediately prior to transporting them to a mental health facility. What's more, Ferguson's office identified only one other instance between December 2013 and April 2017 in which CPD notified state police about a FOID card holder considered to be dangerous. Its failure to comply with the law means the police department may be returning firearms to individuals whose FOID cards would otherwise have been revoked by state police, the 14-page report concluded. Ferguson's office said Chicago police are overlooking, quote, a key mechanism to prevent unnecessary gun violence and keep firearms away from those who are not legally entitled to their possession, unquote. What Ferguson appears to not understand is CPD isn't interested in curbing gun violence because it would interfere with their more gun laws agenda. How can you make the case for repealing the Second Amendment if you actually reduce gun violence with the laws that currently exist? CPD is hardly the only organization that turns a blind eye away from anything that might suggest or, heaven forbid, substantiate that not only do we not need more gun laws, but law-abiding firearm ownership actually reduces crime. For years, John Q. Public, you know, the people that live in the real world and want to protect their family and home, have known that Samuel Colt's observation was dead on. God made man. Samuel Colt made them equal. When someone is kicking in your front door, the national average 911 response time of 10 minutes suddenly seems a lot longer than you thought. If the door gets kicked open and the intruder finds himself facing an armed resident, well, things seem to go in a direction somewhat different than the perp anticipated. And despite what anti-gun phony research has touted, John Q. has known that for centuries. Turns out the anti-Second Amendment cabal has known it too, and intentionally suppressed a body of research that refutes their gun confiscation agenda. In 1996, the Republican majority Congress threatened to defund the Centers for Disease Control unless it stopped funding firearm violence research. At the time, the National Rifle Association accused the CDC of promoting gun control through bogus research. If you're old enough to have been around at that time, you may remember how the 2A crowd was belittled because we thought CDC was intentionally juking the numbers to favor more gun control. Liberals were frothing at the mouth, and the media went berserk. Well, guess what? Recently discovered, never published data by the CDC clearly shows through the years that firearms are used nearly 1 million times each year in self-defense. It was Gary Kleck, professor emeritus of criminology at Florida State University, who found the study conducted by CDC between 1996 and 1998 that concluded there were 2.46 million defensive gun uses in each U.S. year. Even more startling, Kleck said the study results imply that guns were used defensively by victims about 3.6 times as often as they were used offensively by criminals. Despite research results from the anti-Second Amendment CDC that significantly bolster the position that guns save lives, the media still continues to claim that there are only about 100,000 incidents a year. So, we have politicians who claim they support the Second Amendment, but media that intentionally uses flawed data to support disarming John Q, law enforcement agencies that intentionally don't use means available to them to reduce gun crime, and liberal research institutes that intentionally squelch research that show firearm ownership significantly reduces gun-related crime. The definition of a conspiracy is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. So, now what? What happens when a conspiracy theory isn't actually theory? And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
I'm trying to think of some pithy relationship to the theory of evolution or something. I actually, know what? I got it. Your theory, your proof of that theory holds more water than the theory of evolution. There you go. Tenuous
thread there, but, you know, it's worked, I
hey,
guess. Yeah.
We'll take a segue wherever we can get it.
You know what? That's the truth. That's the
Never
truth.
look a segue in the mouth.
I find it interesting, and probably I shouldn't, but I do find it interesting that the Chicago Police Department has a mandate from the state of Illinois by law that if someone, in the eyes of the law enforcement officer, the arresting officer, is a clear and present danger. They're required by law to, to report it, and they don't.
That's kind of surprising.
If you're a cop on the beat, you'd think you'd want to get them off the street. And then maybe it's probably a higher up issue. They just tell them, you're not doing that. I don't know that, but I'm just,
I wonder if it's just a time thing of CPD, like you're saying, administratively, CPD has just decided it's too time consuming, and so we're not going to do that.
We'll just let them go on and kill people. It's fine.
Well, it sounds like most of them are suicidal. They're killing themselves, or they want to kill themselves.
Yeah, but they do it in strange ways sometimes.
True.
And people killing themselves
Suicide by cop
is not your best choice.
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, they warned, when I was in the police, they warned us about people who walk into traffic.
Yeah.
Purposely.
Or drive into it head on.
Yeah, they said, a few times it's happened where people purposely dress in all black at night and walk out on the tollway.
Yeah. Or they start shooting at a cop for no reason. There have been a couple of cases I'm aware of, not here, but there's at least a couple that I do know that the guy had a gun that wasn't even loaded. Mm-hmm. And they just drew down on a cop, and, what's the cop going to do?
Right, that's what they want.
Exactly, yeah. Which, if you think about that, that's got to screw up the cop's head.
Oh, that would be awful.
That
would just be awful.
It really would be. It would just... because typically they're not bad people. They're just depressed to the point they don't think they have any reason to continue.
Right, exactly. It's a specific type of depression that makes you suicidal.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that you're a bad person or a criminal element.
No.
In fact, most criminals are not suicidal.
Right, I was going to say
they're homicidal.
It's a completely different thing. I mean, people who are sociopaths are the opposite. They're overly confident. They think they're God's gift to the world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the one
I saw a man walk up behind a woman at Meijer today, and I thought it was suspicious.
Didn't do anything?
No, but he walked up behind her really fast, and then turned and walked away really fast. It was really strange.
He didn't miss. Bump and run.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sniff and run.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like maybe that's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
He was going to do something, and then he changed his mind.
The one thing that the Tribune article points out about this is that the cops are saying, they have no clear guidelines on how to do it. And the one thing that you have to be somewhat sympathetic to is you're judging somebody's life. I mean, I can understand that could be problematic. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the liberal gun control narrative. All that and more when we return with more on Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Do you dread writing? Is it challenging to find just the right words to get your point across? Do you put off developing marketing materials because you just don't know where to start? You get one chance to make a first impression, and my editor, Creative Business Services, can help make it a strong, positive one. Hi, this is Gretchen Fritz, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to tell you about My Editor, a business I started to help you overcome those concerns. What you're experiencing is very common. My Editor has helped business owners, candidates for political office, and even authors and public speakers. At My Editor Creative Business Services, we can simply edit your existing work or help you develop an entire writing plan of action from initial project design through final copy. We are easy to work with and will help you get your point across in the most effective manner. If words escape you, send me an email at myeditor@mail.com. Use my editor, Creative Business Services, and go to print with confidence. That's my editor at mail.com or find us on Facebook.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
So on the break, I tried to race into my library over here and pull out a book, and I couldn't find it fast enough. But but what I was going to say is, it's the book of bunny suicides, and they're bizarre. But the one that I really get the biggest kick out of is there's a rabbit. The bunny is sitting on a stool, and he's in front of a cutlery store, like kitchen knives.
Sure.
Right? And so he's sitting right in front of the door, and next door it says, opening tomorrow, the world's largest magnet center. It's a funny book. You don't laugh. Tough. So anyway, the CDC, this study that they did, had some pretty revealing stuff in it, and I can see. First of all, it's interesting to note that they did the study after they were specifically told not to do
the study.
That's right there. Shows you how much they really cared about that. And the reason it never saw the light of day is because it was very damning to their position.
Did not get the results that they hoped for.
Not even close.
It's not exactly the scientific method, is it? When you when you do, and Kleck even says it was done really well.
Yeah, no, it was a good study.
He likes their methodology. He likes their sample size, but it doesn't exactly speak to the scientific method when you do a really good study and then you bury it.
Because you have an agenda. Yeah. The disparity between what the media continues to talk about and people talk about is they talk about, on average, 100,000 what they call DGUs, defensive gun uses. And what that study actually found is it's more like about almost 2.5 million a year. That's far more than criminal use.
And Kleck actually thinks it should be adjusted upward, even beyond that.
Yeah. It's...
He says the CDC's results then imply that guns were used defensively by victims about 3.6 times as often as they were used offensively by criminals.
You still don't hear about that.
It's good stuff.
It's still not.
Well, it just happened.
It's not.
I don't know. I saw it, but
That's it. Look,
I'm hooked up with conservative
but
stuff.
if that study had said criminals, if they had the same type of good research, and it said that criminal element is responsible for 10 times the use of firearms than good guy, it would be above the fold in the Tribune immediately. Mm-hmm. If this gets published at all in a newspaper, it'll be like in one of those little box ads in the back end.
Right.
I was happy to see, everybody has a right to their own opinion, and if a store doesn't want to serve people, then they have a right to do that. I don't have a problem with any of that, but I find it payback can be a what.
Bitch.
Well, there's that. Yes, payback can be a bitch. That's true. Citigroup, is going to stop. They won't finance gun sales, and I don't actually know how they're going to how they.
Yeah, I don't know
how they're going to police that.
I don't know how they're
literally.
going to.
I think this is just like putting a lot of hot air out. But some other stores too, not store, that's a bank, but some other things. Who was it? There's a couple other. Well, one of them was wasn't it LL Bean?
I don't remember.
Anyway, there's a number of things that say we're not going to support these people like the NRA. That's what started it. The Yeti stopped with the NRA. Which, by the way, the backlash of that was funny. You see it? Those Yeti coolers, you've seen them at the NRA, friends of the NRA, they're
very
expensive. And they're blowing them up, which I think is, that shows that you're willing to put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, that's a big middle finger to Yeti.
Well, what I find interesting is that Louisiana, that there's going to be some payback here. Louisiana says they're looking to fund some construction projects, right? Road projects. Mm-hmm. And Citigroup came up because they're a big player in the game, right? And Louisiana's going, well, you know, I don't know that we want to do business with somebody that's violating the Constitution and potentially Louisiana laws.
Right.
So I like payback. I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. The Attorney General says it. I don't really understand this. It's practically offensive to me. That's sort of a little hesitant, isn't it?
No, it's offensive in a practical way.
You could read it that way, I suppose. Yes.
That's how I read it.
That Citigroup and Bank of America can decide to engage in public policy decisions, and yet their CEOs don't have enough respect to come here before us today and answer us as to why they decided to infringe on someone's Second Amendment rights. Yeti, did you notice, immediately started to backpedal.
Man. Was it 6 hours?
Oh,
I mean,
exactly.
It was quick.
I mean, they come out and they go, we're not going to sell to these people anymore. And then the backlash, and they go, well, but we had a program that's...
Yeah, they were like, oh, no, we're just discontinuing an obsolete discount program. Oh.
Yeah, that was...
And it's not just the NRA Foundation. It's lots of other groups, too. Oh.
Like, give me a group. Bob's Texaco. We don't...
Boy Scouts of America. Oh.
Oh, yeah. This stuff is really out of hand. I don't know what it is. But the good news, and probably true irony, is all of this stuff is nothing but raise money for the NRA. It has gone like over the top, truly over the top. There's something about blowing up a Yeti.
A really expensive cooler.
That makes people want to donate money to the NRA. You know, they've had an avalanche of money. They really have. They says $2.4 million since the shooting at Stoneman School. $2.4 million in donations since that. And lest we have any liberals listening to the show, which I would somewhat doubt that would happen, but you never know. They're not making fun of what happened in Florida, but what they're simply doing is they're pointing out that reaction about Second Amendment to what happened in Florida is what's doing it.
Representative Rick Becker says people are worried about their Second Amendment rights when they see a real threat, and Parkland appeared like it was going to be a real threat to Second Amendment rights.
You know, one of the interesting things is Delta's on board with this thing, right? And it's interesting because Delta, well, it just goes to show you that everything's commercial now. Delta was a down-home southern thing. It's Atlanta. You know, they're good old boys. They started out as good old boys, and they aren't good old boys anymore. It's
apparently not.
You know, it's a corporation.
Well, you know who else is making a lot of money right now is the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of cooking this up for a little while, but so we know about Moms Demand Action, we know about Bloomberg, we know about a lot of these groups, Giffords, and these groups that we have to worry about. Well, here's another one that I don't think maybe gets enough attention as a really bad group that we need to be worried about.
But they've been around a long time.
They have, since the 70s.
Yeah.
Southern Poverty Law Center, and it sounds really good, but they're actually the evil twin of the ACLU.
What I don't understand, we were talking about this before the show. I'm just positive that that's a black organization, and they've gotten almost totally, from what I've been reading,
no, I don't
Muslim.
think so. Well, yeah, right now they're working on a lot of anti-Muslim cases and situations, but historically a lot of it was KKK.
Right.
They were doing lawsuits on behalf of victims of the KKK.
And I might be wrong, but my recollection is back in the 70s. I mean, they were doing good stuff. I mean, they were going after serious racism.
It seems like originally their charter and their vision was good, but actually it was Wikipedia, so it's fairly authoritative. I found a reference that in the 80s they changed direction, and now I can't find it. In the 80s they changed direction, and the entire staff
staff
of attorneys quit.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they were, oh, here we go. In 1986, the entire legal staff of the SPLC resigned.
It's possible there was a shift in the paradigm
Well,
at that
and
point.
that's exactly what it says. They shifted from traditional civil rights work towards fighting right-wing extremism. So, except for the guy who founded it, Dees is his name, except for him, every other lawyer that they had was like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, this isn't going to work. Yeah.
They're like, this is not what I signed up for. But the interesting thing is, you know, they're basically hate mongering is what they're doing, or fear mongering, I should say.
A lot of that.
And Trump has been a huge moneymaker for them.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, back in 2016, they brought in $50.2 million, which is not too shabby for a nonprofit. Last year, they brought in $136 million.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they, so just as luck would have it, they actually sent me a fundraising letter, and it's very short and to the point, and it starts out, we need all hands on deck as we push back against the racism and xenophobia that Trump's presidency has unleashed. So please renew your membership, which is BS. I'm not a member. You know, it's one of the groups, like, you know, a lot of the groups, they buy lists and they, you know, they imply that you were a member at some point and to trick you into giving them money.
You know, I would say this. So their stated objective is to fight extremist groups. That's their stated
let's see,
objective.
it's where is it? You know, I've seen it. I have so much stuff here on them. Where is it? What's the last page of this?
Well, I mean, that's what they...
Oh, it says that they're maintaining lists of hate groups and fighting back against hate groups, which it defines as groups that have beliefs or practices that attack or malign an entire class of people, typically for their immutable characteristics.
Now, if you just take that statement, it's pretty hard to argue with that.
Sounds fine.
You look at that and you go, okay,
You know,
I get that.
Discrimination against black people, that's
Anybody.
an immutable character.
Right,
you know, any
absolutely.
race.
The
you
problem
know.
is they make this stuff up.
Yeah. You know what? You know who I think they should defend is short people. I am tired of the BS.
You know,
I am really, really tired of the BS.
I'll bet Barry Bordage would like to hear that. You know, he's got a thing for I don't know what to call him. You know, I don't want to be insensitive. Are they midgets? Are they dwarfs? I don't know what the dwarfs.
It depends.
I guess.
There's different
Yeah.
categories.
Barry's into.
Oh, he's into that. He
Yeah.
likes. Is it like a fetish, like
Well,
porn?
no,
he's into like midget porn.
He's just a little obsessed by him. He's producing. Well, you know what he's going to do? He actually did something really. You know, he's a really generous guy. Somewhere he and his wife were someplace, and they encountered. They were entertaining, doing something or other. I don't remember what. Mud wrestling, hell, I don't know what they were doing. But the point is, he got to talking to him, and he's coming out with a product that's a miniature version of something that he does, and he wants to like get a bunch of them to go to the shows, and you know, because they're small, right? And it's a small version. But just to show you what kind of guy he is, and for those of you who don't know, Barry Bordage was the inventor of Crazy Quail, and he owns Devil Dog Arms, and he's a tech entrepreneur. He's a very successful guy, a great guy. One of the problems that they have is driving a car.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
He has designed pedals, extended adjustable pedals for him, is giving them to him.
Okay.
So
That's nice.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. So when we return, we'll talk about dwarfs, and we're going to talk about AM 560.
Yeah, but we're not done with SPLC.
We're not done with this yet, but we will be done when we return with more on Target Radio. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to offer you a partnership opportunity. For over 4 years, On Target Radio covered the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech on AM 560 The Answer. But a 1-minute commercial was $200, making it tough to find enough sponsors. So last November, we left AM 560 and began podcasting. There's a learning curve to podcasting, and we've worked through the kinks and would now like to make you an offer. You can have a 60-second audio or video commercial for as little as $25 a week. We can also offer fellow conservatives their own radio or video podcast for as little as $100 a week with equipment and technical personnel included. You provide the content and host, plus get 6 free minutes of commercial time you can sell yourself. If you'd like to be an On Target Radio sponsor or explore the possibility of having your own show, call me at 815-741-3474 and let's explore the possibilities together.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Now, more than ever, with so much anti-Second Amendment propaganda being generated, it is crucial that every firearm owner in Illinois be a member of the ISRA to support its lobbying mission to protect your Second Amendment rights. Meet like-minded friends to hear a great speaker, get an update on what's happening in Springfield, and to support the right to keep and bear arms in Illinois. Join us at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
So there's several other problems I see with the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. So they maintain a list of hate groups, but included in that is a lot of groups that we all would identify with, like the American Family Association. One of the ones in Illinois that is on their list is Illinois Family Institute, which is run by David E. Smith, who we know very well. And you know, they're very conservative groups, but they're not hate groups by any stretch of the imagination. And so this is one thing. It says it has consistently mislabeled pedestrian conservative organizations as hate groups and critics of political correctness as extremists. So basically, potentially, all of us could be targeted by them. Ben Carson was on an extremist watch list in October 2014 because he said stuff like, marriage is between a man and a woman. It's a well-established pillar of society. So he was on the list for 4 months.
You know, just to be the devil's advocate here, newspapers don't sell, news shows don't get advertisers by saying, stuff's kind of okay nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
The NRA does the same thing. Now, I don't think the NRA makes stuff up. I'm not, but you don't really hear much about Bob in Iowa didn't do anything bad today with his gun. I mean, it's groups make money by making their constituency afraid of something.
Oh yeah.
That's really what sells, right? And everybody does that. Now the question becomes, is what you're pointing out factual, or are you just making it up? So we know that some you can have an opinion.
This is pretty serious, though. Labeling groups and persons as hateful.
I agree.
As hate. I mean, it's borderline criminal in many cases.
See, what they do is they take an opinion, and they're entitled to their own opinion. They take an opinion. If somebody disagrees with them, they call it hate. Mm-hmm. If somebody says to me, I don't think I want to own a gun, I don't like guns, I'm going to go, okay, that's fine. I don't call it hate speech.
Right.
But if they say, I hate guns, and I go, I have a lot of guns, well, that's hate speech. You know, you hate people, you don't care about the children, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with this stuff. And that's why they raise money because there are people who want to think what they're preaching. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They want to believe that what they're saying is true because that's their ideology. I don't know that you can't stop that.
Well, I don't know.
Now, some people have sued them.
Well, I was going to say, it seems like the only way to get them to take you off their list is to sue them, because that's happened in a couple of cases. So, as I mentioned before, their big thing right now is anti-Muslim. Yeah. So, Act for America is a group that I'm involved with that I would consider myself a member, or SADS, of Act for America. They're very against Act for America because Act for America their main thing is, sounding the alarm on Muslims. Muslim invasion of our country, them trying to get Sharia law recognized in our court system and our society, and things like that. And so, groups that are anti-Muslim, when they have a conference or when they, have activities, the SPLC is saying, oh, this is hate. This is hate speech. This is hate activity.
What about when they're rioting in the streets?
Yeah, they had a man named Majid Nawaz, which he's British. He's not well known to me, but who is well known to us is Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who is a well-known author who is basically a former Muslim. She's pretty much disavowed the Muslim religion, and they've got them on hate lists now. Now the guy is Nawaz. He's suing them, and they took his name off the list. And he says that's not good enough. He says my case is ongoing. I will see justice. So he's still going to sue him anyway, even though they took his name off the list.
That people would have a fear of Muslim immigrants coming to this country. It's ludicrous to say that that's not justifiable. All you have to do is look at almost any European country today that have taken that group in, and look at what's happened. Sweden, you remember when Sweden was preaching to us about how we are not doing our fair share and Americans are... now, the head of police
and not
Sweden,
only that, but really like high horse telling us, like, we took in a ton of Muslims and everything's fine.
Yes, and now the head of law enforcement in Sweden is going, we need help, we can't handle it. It's out of control.
Yeah, it's just like in Paris and in parts of like Dearborn, Michigan, where there are areas where the police cannot go.
Do you know that there's, I forget the number, training camps in this country?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think most people understand that.
Yeah, there absolutely are.
And we don't go in because they have rights.
Yeah, technically they're not breaking the law.
Right, they have rights.
We have to, it's the same thing we used to say about, prevention of whatever crime, various crimes. It's not called crime prevention. It's called law enforcement.
Yeah.
Police enforce the laws. That's what they do, oftentimes after the fact. That's what they do.
You have to break the law before you can enforce it.
Right, exactly. That's the charter. That's what they do. So I think that's... okay. So yeah, some other things that they're involved with is they challenge what they see as institutional racial segregation and discrimination based on sexual orientation, mistreatment of illegal immigrants, unconstitutional mixing of church and state. So they're really like a whole bucket of progressive causes. But this is one of the things I find really disturbing. They have provided information about hate groups to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other law enforcement agencies. And they offer them training and supposedly research. And they are considered authoritative by academic and media sources. These are the types of things that I find very troubling about a group like this.
Well, look at the media and look at these different entities. They're liberal.
They're amenable to it, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
they're down for it, but that's why I say we need to push back. We need to be aware because although Southern Poverty Law Center sounds so innocuous, it sounds like they're helping people. Yeah, not so much.
It's.
I like this one too. This year they've added male supremacy groups to their hate group list.
I object to that. Do you object to that? I'm going to light a cigar and think about that.
I object.
The training camp thing, here's what I've heard people say, because my sort of gut reaction is to these Muslim enclaves where we have videos taken from the air of them out, pretty much what we do at our club. But the point is, this: the thing that people who object to any thought of interceding always bring up is, well, you interned all those Japanese people during the Second World War. Yeah. But here's the thing about that. Nobody ever said that those people were out actually doing anything. They weren't training to be terrorists.
No.
They were legal. They were running stores, doing what they did. They happened to be Japanese.
Yeah.
And they were afraid, rightfully or wrong, they were afraid that since they were Japanese, that they might become seditious.
Right, that they either might already be infiltrators or
Right.
they might be spies, they might become spies.
Exactly.
Well,
But these guys...
and I don't want to argue for this too hard because I don't want it to sound like I think that was the right thing to do, because I absolutely do not. But a case could be made that it was also for their own protection.
Well, and it's not that a case can be made. In point of fact, part of it was because there was obviously after Pearl Harbor,
Yeah.
people who were Japanese were not looked
my
upon
understanding
very
is
nicely.
a lot of those people it was California, it was West Coast, it was
Yeah.
California, and it was very close to Hawaii, or I should say closer to Hawaii where it happened, and so there was a lot of anti-Japanese
And
sentiment
that is true.
in the
That is true,
public.
yeah. But I think if you talk to people, and there aren't many of them left anymore, but I think that the people that were there would say, yeah, I'd rather be in my store.
Well, right.
Yeah.
They would have rather probably dealt with the racism and the problems.
But here's the thing. With these camps, and I don't remember, do you remember how many there are? There's like 7 or 10 of them somewhere. They're all over the United There's one somewhere in the
really?
Midwest, yeah. Here, the thing about that is, these are, by and large, refugees who have come to this country. We know all you have to do is look at Sweden, Germany, that they haven't lynched Merkel at this point. It astounds me.
I know. She got reelected not that long ago. It's pretty astounding.
Yeah. So we know the disposition of these people. Is that a generalization? Yeah, but look around. And then they are, in point of fact, out there practicing bomb throwing and shooting and all that kind of stuff.
We have a fairly long history of interceding in insular communities that have unorthodox practices, we'll say, like the Branch Davidians, and what was that group called?
Nobody's ever screwed with the
fundamentalists. Well, no, but the fundamentalists. There was another group of fundamentalists in Texas that, like, all the women wore the long pastel dresses, and they all wore their hair braided. And
Right.
They took their kids away from them.
Yes, they did.
I can't remember what they were calling them.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have a long history of saying, you know what, you have this compound, and you don't leave the compound very much, and you have what we would consider to be unusual religious practices, and
See, they were all American white people, and that's okay to discriminate against them.
Apparently.
Yeah, but you start doing it against radicals who come from, what did our president call those countries?
Oh, can I say it? Do I get a free one?
It's a quote from the President of the United States.
Third world shitholes.
and I forget who the comedian was, but some comedian put a picture up of this beach of, what country was it? It was Haiti, I think.
Oh, yeah. And
said, send us your vacation picture. And it's just like trash and garbage and just... All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the future.
Of On Target Radio.
With more On Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
In need of a ride to O'Hare or Midway Airport? Well, look no further. The Yellow Checker Cab Company is the cab company for you. With the Yellow Checker Cab Company, you will always be greeted by a friendly face and arrive safely and on time for your flight. Start your trip off right by taking advantage of one of their limos, shuttle vans, cabs, or courtesy cars. And airport trips are not all they specialize in. This 24-hour cab service will pick you up anytime, any day, for any occasion. From bachelorette parties to school dances to just a night out with friends. Yellow Checker Cab Company has the best rates in town. So sit back, relax, and leave the driving to the professionals. Once you experience their fast and affordable cab service, you'll be a customer for life. When it comes to cab companies, be sure to choose Yellow Checker Cab because you have the right to expect certain things from your cab company. For further information or to book your trip today, call 815-744-2900. That's 815-744-2900.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life. Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
Thank you to everyone who attended iGold on Wednesday. I think the General Assembly got the message. Later on Wednesday, it was announced that the override of SB 1657 would not happen because the votes were not there. It was a successful day, but we all know this is not over. There is a new gun dealer licensing bill, SB 337, which has been introduced. There is no quitting. So I mentioned Steve Balich's fundraiser a couple months ago, and I forgot to mention my own fundraiser, which is tomorrow at the American Legion in Plainfield on Renwick Road, 5:30 p.m. at the American Legion, fundraiser for me. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman. Saturday and Sunday, May 12th and 13th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida and Arizona. Saturday, May 19th, Introduction to Tactical Pistol, taught by David. Sunday, May 20th, NRA Basic Rifle, taught by David. Saturday, May 26th, NRA Basic Pistol, taught by David. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on Register.
I just want to point out, you didn't tell them what they were going to have for food.
Oh, Popeye's chicken.
See, this is like
Love that
Cajun.
chicken from Popeyes.
This is like Cajun, right?
Yeah, it's a Mardi Gras theme.
It's a Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras. Yeah, and we would like to duplicate Mardi Gras as much as possible, which means we have to get a lot of people to smash into one small area.
Yeah, it is a small area.
Because
I got the little bar in the back of the American Legion, so yeah, it's only supposed to be for like 60, so if we could fit like 100, that'd be awesome.
It'd be just like Mardi Gras.
It'd be perfect.
Walking down Bourbon Street in Mardi Gras, if you're on the left side and you want to cross the street, it's like 4 blocks before you can wind your way
So
through.
I wonder if we can line up any transvestites in Plainfield.
You know, I was just gonna, you just beat me to where I was going.
Oh, sorry.
You just beat.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
We need to. You know what? I need to write a script on this stuff. That was going to be. I had the line set up for that.
Well,
yeah.
say it by all means. Say it.
It's gone now. But it was about being smashed in a room when you walk down Bourbon Street during Mardi Gras. I mean, it literally is building to building packed with people, and these transvestites who, and I just have to be honest. They look good. I mean, they're very good at what they do until they go, you want a date? And that really has a chilling effect. It's the old, but anyway.
Boner killer, huh?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say that because that's crude, but you're from Iowa. By the way, speaking of from Iowa, yesterday we did, inducted new people into ASC.
Oh, okay.
And there was a gentleman who came up to me and he goes, I've been wanting to meet you. I go, I thought I owed him money.
Why?
And I go, yeah. Why would that be? And he said, because I've been listening to your radio. I listened to your radio show for years in Iowa.
Wow.
in Iowa.
And he moved to godforsaken Illinois?
Well, he was originally from here, and they moved there because his
okay.
wife had some great opportunity. It turned out it wasn't as
Not a
great
great
as they thought.
opportunity. Okay.
And but while they were there for a couple of years, he was listening to our show, and he said, "Why are you off the air?" Which is a perfect segue.
It is a perfect segue.
And that we keep WIND keeps periodically knocking on the door. Well, you guys should come back. So they've offered to. I don't know how many people know this. Probably most people don't really know how this works.
I don't think a lot of people know. Some people do.
Yeah, weekend radio is called Destination Radio, and the station doesn't own the show.
You buy the time.
Yeah, we own the show, and so you buy the time. And when
So instead of getting paid by the station like it's a job, like you're an employee,
Yeah.
you buy the time from
buy the
them,
time,
and
right.
you broadcast whatever you want, basically.
well, not on
Within reason.
not on Salem.
Yeah, as George,
I can say that.
not on this
Salem.
station, not on WIND.
That's it. Yeah, but the point is,
Why do we want to go back there again?
I tone you down is the main reason.
I couldn't say third world shithole. I couldn't.
No, you couldn't.
I probably couldn't even say boner killer.
Probably not. It's problematic. But
It is
anyway,
problematic.
when I started off there, it was I want to say it was $500 an hour, and within a year it was $600 an hour, and then it went $700 an hour. And they periodically call back, because here's the thing about the weekend programming. If anybody that's listened to weekend radio knows, it's
You
one
should
giant
know.
commercial.
Right.
It's just from one end to the other. Real estate.
Why else would you want to buy radio time?
Exactly.
So that you can basically have an infomercial.
And that's what it is. And
that's what
they're,
it is.
some of them are well disguised in that they give out good information, but basically they're hawking something.
Right.
We're like the only show that didn't do that. We were doing news. We did news, and they loved us. They really did.
Yeah.
And they treated us well, but they were making money.
Except for the whole money thing.
Yeah, except for but that's the business.
Except for the
model.
whole blood from a stone thing.
That was blood from the IRA thing. But so they do, our account rep touches base frequently and says, let's go to lunch. And it's, there's no such thing as a free meal.
He recently made you a very good offer, though.
He did. They're up to $700 an hour. And he said, well, we could bring it down to $500, and we got a commercial that you can do that'll bring it down to $400. And I don't have money. But if we had people who, could
If we had
advertise.
bona fide advertisers.
Yeah, if we had people that sign on the dotted line.
To the tune of $400 a week.
Yeah. We were doing $200 a minute for commercial time. So
Which, you could buy 30 seconds. You don't have to buy a
yeah,
minute.
you could buy 30 seconds. A lot of people bought 4 seconds.
100 for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
200 for a minute. Ed did it quite a bit for political reasons.
He did.
He would buy political
and
ads.
ISRA they were in forever. But yeah,
We had Stone City, which I mistakenly called Stone Kitty one time, which is hilarious.
we did. We had some good advertising. But I don't sell. And how many people in the 4 years
my
that we were there
gosh.
said, I'll sell
Everybody
for
thought
you.
they could do
I'll
it.
sell for you. Nobody ever sold
Selling
anything.
radio is really difficult.
It's tough.
It's probably one step above selling ice to Eskimos.
I think it's probably below that too. I'm just,
Really?
I
I think it's probably a little bit easier than selling ice
it's
to Eskimos.
tough. And I don't sell. I can't sell. I've never been able to sell.
Me neither.
So,
It's not my wheelhouse.
but we were about 80 grand into that show, and I can't do that. But if we had people, all of you, in our vast listening audience, which nobody's on tonight because they're out probably
Everybody's
in the
out
backyard with
drinking on the patio.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, there's a lot of play. I was flipping through channels, or the NBA playoffs are on, the NHL playoffs are on. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, we're not the highest priority to some of these people.
Apparently
Except
not.
for the guy from Iowa.
Well, they are. The shows are archived, so
That's true.
there's something to be said for that.
There is.
There's not going to be a spoiler of, like, they're not going to hear on the radio what happened on Target Radio.
No, that's probably not going to happen. Anyway, so that's. I'd love to go back.
If you would like to hear on Target Radio on WIND once again, we need advertisers.
On Target Radio needs you.
We need advertisers to step up to the tune of, $100 or $200 a week and make it happen.
And for those of you who didn't know us back then, we always had a camera in the studio. We've been doing it this way all along. We did it before they had cameras in the studio.
Yes.
And that might be something to, if we actually did go back to, I want that on the table.
Yeah.
Because we used that little $25
Right, we had a
camera.
little webcam
Yeah.
going. It was just
Yeah.
a static webcam.
They got, for Joe, they got, and for
Well, right.
Amy
Now they
and
have
Dan.
cameras mounted on the ceiling, and they have one for each
Yeah.
personality, and then they have an engineer to actually engineer that and flip the. So you would not be out of a job, Eric.
Yay, all right.
You would still get to video engineer most likely.
We'll double what we pay you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly.
I can't wait.
Actually, it might be more than double because sometimes he bought me Wendy's.
Oh, nice.
That quadrupled.
Get some frosties.
Octupled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there might be some food in it for you.
But he doesn't eat.
No, well, typically, but occasionally.
On rare occasions.
I don't think I've ever seen him actually
Occasionally,
eat.
I have enticed him to eat something.
What was it? Do you remember?
Cake, one time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
Popeye's
okay.
chicken tomorrow is going to be really
Yeah,
good.
he's down for Popeye's chicken.
I'm down for Popeyes.
Fine.
So,
I
yeah,
don't know.
popcorn
Speaking
on a
of
number of occasions.
speaking of chicken, California,
It works.
it you know what? Here's the interesting thing. She doesn't get the transition, which shows you she's from Iowa.
My kingdom for a segue.
Yeah, and that's chicken. That chicken is a connotative term in the world of deviant sexual behavior.
Oh, is it?
Oh, see, she doesn't know.
No, I didn't know.
Anyway,
I'm
California.
just a babe in the woods.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Chicken in the woods. California wants to pass a law. I don't. This would be something that you would see on, well, not Saturday Night Live. You'd see in The Onion, you'd think. Basically, they want to pass a law that they're. It's going to amend the California Consumer Legal Remedies Act. That's a really good name, don't you think? And yeah, it's a consumer law that outlaws unfair and deceptive practices. Now you ask, so what?
So what?
So what? They're going to add so-called sexual orientation change efforts. So what that means is, if your church doesn't believe in homosexuality and they preach that,
Okay.
it's illegal.
Okay. Luckily, my church is not in California.
True. But this stuff is really far-reaching stuff. It'll impact religion. It would impact counseling. If somebody goes in for...
Oh, yeah.
What if somebody is transgendered or whatever and he decides, you know what?
I don't want to be.
It doesn't work. It isn't what I thought, and seeks counseling. Out. None of that. Public speaking. Dave Smith goes out there to
Oh,
speak.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's violating the law. Now, it's not a law yet.
Right. But that's what it's called in the psychological book of diagnoses. It's called gender dysphoria.
It is.
So that doesn't even make sense because that is what it is.
They're talking about Amazon bookstores if it
Okay.
carries books that preach it.
Oh. So this
That's
is very
First Amendment stuff.
Yeah, this is very interesting because I'm trained as a librarian, and the librarian credo, if you will, is intellectual freedom, which basically means if I'm curating a library, if I'm putting together a library, or if I'm overseeing what is going to be warehoused in this library, I can't exclude viewpoints
You can't make
just
judgment
because I don't agree with them.
Right.
Which I'm fine with that. If somebody wants to read about stuff that I don't agree with, that's fine. I have no problem
Right.
with that. But this is the flip side of that coin, which is interesting because so many librarians are liberals, and I think that that's part of the reason why it attracts liberals, because it sort of it gives license to all those sort of aberrant
Weird
behaviors,
stuff.
right, exactly, all the stuff that we
Yeah.
would consider outlying. Basically says no, it's okay, it's valid to find out about that, it's valid to read about that.
No, it's okay as long as it's what they agree with.
Right.
It's
well,
not okay if
but
it's what we agree with.
But if they become librarians,
Right.
that's what they're signing up for, is you have to be just as willing to supply books about conservative Christianity,
Right.
or Republican politics as you are about Democrat politics and the Muslim religion and, atheism and agnosticism and all of those things. That it's all equal.
Right, as long as they agree.
But
because
they're not allowed to do that.
Because this is the classic liberalist thing. We've said this before, but if you don't like a gun, okay, that's fine. You can not like a gun. But if a liberal doesn't like a gun, nobody can have them.
That's right.
So
it's not enough for them not to have it.
You have to
also
exactly,
not have it.
Exactly. That's the whole thing about the wedding cakes, all that stuff. It's a pain. Anyway, we'd like to thank you for taking time to listen tonight, and we'd appreciate it if you tell your friends about On Target Radio.
We'd also like to thank our engineer, Eric Allen, and our sponsors, the Will County chapter of the Illinois State Rifle Association, my editor, Creative Business Services, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
Bye-bye.